Anyway, this is take 4 of a 4-part, maybe a 5-parter. Oh God, my hand hurts like a motherfucker. Oh God, I mean it hurts so bad I can't stand it. There, my friend, is a Space Needle. You know where I'm at then, right? I'm by the pink elephant. You can see the pink elephant. It rotates. I rotate. Look, and there's the Antioch University over there. So anyway, Nixon goes to the Chinese, or uses connections to convey the information that he wanted, which was that he said, if you will agree never to attack us militarily or any other way, we will disarm unilaterally. I will force the issue. No one will be able to stop it because it would be a very appealing thing. No more no more mad. So this is what happens. The Chinese say, oh, that sounds very interesting. But anyway, now they're paused. They're in the pause mode. Now Nixon believes that he has made a good compromise, because if he can get the Chinese on board, the leverage that the Soviets and their third party, which he doesn't even know about, would be sufficient to try to get the U.S. out from under the thumb of this terrible, menacing organization. It's sort of like that, you know, that movie Quantum of Solace. You remember where they were talking about, like, we are everywhere. Who talks like that? That's what M said. But anyway, so what happens is that over time, Brezhnev gets sick and he dies. And then eventually we have Gorbachev. Now, Gorbachev is in a position to have the keys, you know, what he's allowed to have. And the thing is, the Chinese decide at that point, where they're very vulnerable, they have a change of leadership, to give them a poison pill. The poison pill is the information that is Brezhnev really betrayed the Soviets and gave the information away to the Americans that they were basically not their own masters anymore. So the really sneaky thing is that Brezhnev knew this was going to happen. He knew it. And so what he had agreed to do is the third party were going to pay him handsomely, incredibly handsomely, more than he even gets from his, you know, this graft from this, you know, having to rob the rich from the U.S. and, you know, basically the Soviets were just raping us all the time, just ripping and running all over the place. You know, the stuff they did in the 60s and the 50s and the 70s is unbelievable. But anyway, what happens then is the Chinese poison pill works. Now, Brezhnev got paid by the third party, and he was happy. Nixon was unaware this was going to happen. Nixon got out of office quick as a bunny because he knew that shit was going to fly. You know, and besides, he wasn't in control of the country anymore. He didn't want that shit. I hate to use shit so much, but that's what it sounds like. It's just a big ball of shit, like a dung beetle or something. But anyway, so the Soviets fall apart because some of them want to just nuke the fuck out of China, and the other ones want to make some kind of compromise with China. But nobody can agree on anything, so they fall apart. Well, you know, that leaves the Chinese, they think, in control of the weapon or the arsenal or all the nukes, because they say, well, nobody else is going to have it, and we have lots of money and lots of clout. So what they don't realize is that the third party has rights to the information, rights to the database, rights to the gold code, and so they take advantage of it. And that was what they paid Brezhnev for. So the Chinese are going, oh shit, we've been fucked. And so what happens then is they tell the third party, but they don't actually know specifically, except it's an organization that kind of fronts for them, that they will be willing to forego any combative stance if they will just, you know, not make them part of the project, because they don't like eugenics. They don't want to end up being some kind of mutant race. But they have a long history. So anyway, the third party says, okay, we'll nuke you if you even blink, but if you don't blink, we'll stay away from you. But they lied, because what they started doing is infiltrating the Chinese, because they had big connections through the Russians. and they started to change the Chinese. The Chinese became subject to the project, the eugenics project. And the project is much bigger than that. It relates to so many facets of life, it's unbelievable. So, anyway, there we have it. You know, the Chinese are fucked. The Russians are fucked. The third party is the only one holding the keys. The Americans have been fucked for a long time. We're like, yeah, we're big on fucking. We fuck all the time because we got no choice. We don't want to get blown up. Better dead than red. No, better red than dead. So anyway, what happens then? I have to tell you this really quickly because I gotta get out of here because otherwise the cops will jump my bones and make me a sad sack. What happens then is, of course, the third party becomes victims of their own success because the weird thing is the ministers that control the project, they don't care. Their one goal is like that Foundation series. It's like the one goal is the goal that was set in motion like 1947, which really was before that because that's when I went over to Stalin and beat him over the head and said, I want you to sign these papers and don't look at them and just sign them and go to bed and start fighting the goddamn Germans because you could win. I lied about that too. So anyway, then what happens is the project expands. It goes all over the world. It basically takes over the third party, takes over India, takes over. There's nobody. Only ones that are immune is the Israelis. And the reason they're immune is because there's certain legal issues that if you look at code, just think about code. Think about the DNA code. There's certain code that within the Israelis. I mean, if you've heard of the HAP map, for instance, the Israelis are a unique kind of race. I mean, they're different. I mean, people might say, well, that's just, they say they're the chosen people. They really are special. I mean, they really are. So they couldn't be affected. And interestingly enough, even if you told them this stuff was happening, they wouldn't believe you. That's why God tells them they're a stiff-necked people. Because when God says something, they say, I don't think so. So they wouldn't believe it. So they didn't believe it. They went life as usual. And anyway, that's basically how it works. Now we are in a time which is very critical. Because if things pan out the way I think they will, the project will have reached its ultimate goal. What is its ultimate goal? Baby, I ain't telling you shit. Anyway, this is Operations Officer Head Osborne in Seattle, and it is the 13th of February 2012. It is a very bad day for me, baby.